Well, good afternoon, friends. This is Dave from Dave's Raised Bed Garden. I'm out here today just for a little bit. Came out here, I just wanted to give you a short little tip or tutorial based on as far as coming in. Today is April the 20th. Let me start by saying that. It is Wednesday, it's early afternoon. I've come out here, I've checked in my garden actually, the plants. I'll actually be showing that to you. But I just came out here to give you a little tutorial, a little tip that I found very interesting, and it's actually helped me. I've actually talked to a couple people that have actually already started planting some of their warm weather plants. I did tell them my experience based on what I've been able to do or what I've not been able to do the past couple years, because of the same temptation of them being new gardeners as far as having raised bed is actually coming out and actually trying to start planting a little bit too soon. You know, I told you about the app that I use very frequently, From Seed to Spoon, and I really like using that. It gives me a timeline based on the planting and then what I'm trying to plant as far as for my garden. But one little tip that you can use, and I'll tell you something very, very important, especially when you're planting, is that you want to make sure that your soil temperature is at a good temperature as far as even with the plants. If you don't have that warmer soil, and based on especially if you're doing transplanting. Now, if you're doing seeding and so forth, it goes through the germination. What it would stop it or cause it to do is that if it was a cooler temperature of soil, especially in warm weather plants, is that it might slow down the germination, and then the process of it, and then even it could cause it to not germinate too. But that's very important. But the less of it is that when you're seeding, especially with the days like it is. But you know, like this morning, to give you an example, on some of the things that we could have started planting, we could have went back to the 14th. It is actually the 20th. Now, this morning when I woke up and I got up this morning, the temperature was actually 30 degrees. That's actually 2 degrees below freezing. If I had already planted the warm weather plants, I would have to cover them up. Now, even though you have them planted now, you need to remember you need to keep them covered up, because even with that, you got to try to help the temperature stay warm even on the soil. Another thing that you could do is actually putting leaf mulch or a type of compost or mulch on top of it to help with the soil temperature. Also, what it does is it actually helps with the moisture. That's one thing that I do with my garden every year. I just add a top covering on it after I plant my plants, and then I mix it in and when I'm getting ready to replant and everything, and it just adds to the soil. But it will help with the moisture, and then also it will help as far as helping keeping the temperature warmer too. But a good little thing to use is just basically a meat thermometer, a little meat thermometer, and you want to make sure you get the one that starts at 0 and works its way up. Basically, what you want to do is you want to stick it down as far as you can into the soil, and then leave it in there for about 2 minutes, and then actually see what your temperature of your soil is. Now, remember this is a raised bed that I have. It sits above the ground, and then the soil is going to be a little bit different. If I did it in the regular ground, which I have clay takes longer for the temperature to get warmer if you have that clay soil. But my raised beds don't have that clay, so the temperature should be warmer. Now, what I've done today, the temperature right now is about 62 degrees out here, and I've actually had this the thermometer stuck in the ground a little bit. And actually I want to show you exactly based on the temperature that it gives me as far as what my soil looks like. So let me show you that to you now. So here's the meat thermometer. I've actually stuck it in the ground. I'm going to go in as close as I can. And you can see where the temperature is based on it. The temperature is right at close to 60. The green that you see on the left below the dial is actually 40 degrees. So that tells you a little bit difference. So I want to see based on the temperature. Now, based on that, the temperature looks good that I can go ahead and plant my warm weather crops. The problem is that here it is. I just wanted to show you what it looks like. I put it all the way in the ground and everything. The problem is with the soil is that you have to accommodate for the temperature outside too. And so being that if I transplanted plants into this bed, which I'm going to, then what I would have to do is to make sure the temperature stays up. If not, then I want to cover those plants to help them from becoming where they would be wilted from the cool weather and so forth. And that's something that you have to look at when you're planting especially warm weather plants in this time of the year, especially here in my region or my zone in North Carolina. So this gives you a little idea. And this little thermometer that I had only cost me about $2. I bought it from Dollar General. I've had it. I'm actually going to get a better one, a digital one more or less, that I can use and put in. You can actually go out and purchase, allergies are getting me. You can actually go out and purchase an actual soil thermometer that you can use. Now you want to make sure that when you put those in the ground, because if the temperature is too cool when I transplant those plants, what's going to happen is it's going to stunt those plants. You can actually kill them because the roots are not, those roots in those plants are just, they don't grow well in cool weather, and they don't grow well with cooler soil. So that's an idea, but just having a little thermometer is actually, you want to make sure what your soil temperature is. And I hope this little tip helps you and everything as far as you proceed in your gardening. And let me show you a little bit what I've already planted and show you how my cool weather plants are doing today. So here's my broccoli bed. This is where I plant my potatoes. You can tell that the broccoli through this mesh covering that I have has actually gotten taller. What I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be raising this archway up a little bit to give it more growth space so they'll be able to grow. They will get taller as the temperature continues and everything is based on what it's doing. These things should be growing. I'll actually be fertilizing my plants to kind of help them. I'll be doing that this week. So this is my broccoli bed that's actually looking really good. As far as the bed that I have with my spinach, and then also this is my collards. You can see what I planted there. I've got to get in there. I've got a little weed. I've got to get it cleared out and everything. But here's my spinach. See how the spinach is growing out? I can actually go ahead and harvest the leaves on the outside and continue doing that. I don't want to cut them all off, but I can go ahead and start doing that and give me some vegetables to start having to actually be able to eat and everything. So that's exciting. So this covering, like I said, it helps keep the bugs off of it. And these are those larva laying butterflies that lay the eggs and everything. They're not going to really contend to the spinach as much, but they will go with the collards, the cauliflower, and then also the broccoli. But I cover all of my early crops and everything up to help protect them and everything. This bed over here, you can tell that I have some lettuce. I've actually planted some seed. I've been kind of watching it and seeing if it's come up. I actually planted that last week. I wanted to get a little growth on that. So it's still going through the part of germination and everything, but this is my lettuce. This over here is the Brussels sprouts. If you've never grown Brussels sprouts, it's quite unique to see how it grows. I can't wait to show you exactly what it looks like. But actually the Brussels sprouts that you would eat are actually going to be on the main part of the stalk, and as it gets taller they'll grow down it. I'll actually show it to you hopefully as it continues growing and everything. But these are my Brussels sprouts, and then what I've planted in here is mainly lettuce. I wanted to use this as my lettuce bed this year just to kind of give an idea to what I'm doing and everything. This is the bed that I have my cabbage in. This bed last year was used for my peppers and then also my green beans. I'm still going to use that, but I'm going to change up my format a little bit different. As you can tell through the mesh, through this netting and everything, they've actually gotten bigger. I am actually going to have to take my archway up. I'll give it more covering, and then to give it more room to grow for my cabbage. I want to see how they do. Last year I didn't plant my cabbage early. My broccoli and my cauliflower was the main thing that I did last year, but I had an infestation of those worms that come from those butterflies and everything, and I had to end up throwing away all of my cauliflower. I did have a good season with my broccoli. I actually did better in the later than I did in the early. So this is all part of when you do gardening, is to be able to find out exactly what you want to do is what's going to be best for yourself and your growing. All of these down here, you can tell these are younger and looking smaller a little bit. This netting and everything is that these were all seed planted. I mean, I put the seed in there and I'm allowing it to grow. So this bed is basically all 100% cabbage. I want to see what it'll do. I want to see exactly what it gives me and everything, and kind of give an idea that helps me even for next year and as I continue growing. And when I look around at other beds, I will be planting. Now, like I said, what I'll be doing is there's some things that I'm having to do. You can see my tomato stakes that I have on the other side. And what I want to do with my garden is I want to try to give the most that I can with what I have. You know, I said that I'll be making some beds and everything. I'm still planning to do that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to that because of some circumstances and things that have come up and everything that I'm going to have to do, and just seeing that, and I'll explain that to you as I go along as time comes. But to understanding what I'm doing with my garden and everything is that, you know, every year it becomes more of it's not a challenge, but it's more an adventure, I call it, because each year is going to be different. And so understanding what I'm doing and everything is the overall, and that's what's so exciting about gardening, is to understand what you're trying to do to make the best for your gardening experience and everything. So I hope this gives you an idea based on what I'm trying to do, and maybe something that you can do also. So I hope this little tutorial, or just showing you what I'm doing and everything about doing the temperature and everything, has been something that you can use, and maybe it'll help you, because what I've learned and what I'm doing is helping me. And that's what the most important thing for me as Dave's Raised Bed Garden is, to be able to give you something that I'm learning to help me be better, that also in turn that I can actually help you too. And I hope everybody has a great and wonderful day and a good rest of the week and everything. And from Dave at Dave's Raised Bed Garden, until next time, take care.